one, I'm tired of feeling like no one cares. Why I gotta cool when I know I'm cool, my true self? They shelf their feelings on the wall of pretense. To me, it makes no sense how they walk in fake rather than kick off if you guys are ready. I won't be as stupid as the one before clearly was. I find it stupid that you choose that.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm just eating.
Easy. Let's go. All right, Ben. Well, actually, let me do an introduction. All right, let's do that. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 3. We're doing a Q&A for episode 3. It's the Christmas period, so we're just going to have a nice, quick, short episode for everyone. And yeah, we'll get right into it. Ben, do you have anything that you want to say?
Just Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone, because we probably won't talk to you. Well, before or after.
Why would we talk to them? Why? We're just going to cut them off. We don't like them.
This is it. Nah, we're done now.
Yeah.
New year, new us.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this was just a trial period, and we've had the trial period. You guys didn't like it. We didn't like it. So
yeah. We aren't compatible. It's like Hinge. We got an offer. You two would be compatible. Didn't work out. It is what it is.
Nah, we are compatible. We got Paul today, who's Ben's dad. We decided to get stop it. We decided to get an older, wiser guy in the room to help us address some of the questions that we've been asked. Yeah, we thought that would be a good idea. So Ben, I'll let you kick off.
No, perfect. Well, we've got quite a few questions to go over, but one of them that has really stuck out for me already is dealing with life after school. Now, I think we've all been there where we finish year 12 or year 10, depending when you actually finished as well. And we've stood there for a bit and gone, life is great, now I can do my own thing. Then you realise you have to grow up a little bit and start living.
You're still realising that, but yeah.
Yep, no, fair. Oh, no, yep, cool. And it's one of those things, though, when you get out of school and you start trying different jobs and you're trying to find your way in life, and it's very tough. And yeah, how do you guys deal with that?
Paul, do you want to answer that one?
Well, I think thinking back, because for me now that's a long time ago. School, blimey. I think the thing is with school, I think that school's a really challenging time, yeah, because everything's changed. Yeah, you're changing physically, you're changing emotionally, you're changing a whole host of things, and you're entering a space of your life where, you're all, you physically arriving, but at the same time, you don't have the reference points often that's expected through experience, and you have to live those moments in order to get the experience. The problem is sometimes those experiences don't always go the way that you want them to, and I think dealing with it is about learning to develop the who you are. The big challenge with growing is always about the what you are, which is the expectations of society or your perceived friendship groups at that time, and the who you are is that real person that people lose sometimes through that, because they spend a big part of their sort of informative years trying to fit in and trying to be popular or trying to I think it's a tough time and growing's never easy. It's not supposed to be. That's why we learn great things, because it's tough. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think in order to get ready for life after school, you kind of have to do a lot of planning and do a lot of thinking. What are my next steps? What do I want to do? Am I ready to start working now? Do I want to just have a break? You really have to try and find a strategy that works for you. So when you're in those last few years, you really need to try and understand, okay, where am I headed? What's next for me? And when you can realize that, you then have a basis to go from. So for me, when I was in school, I knew that I didn't want to go to university, but I was pressured into going to university by my parents. And so I went to university, but all while I was going to university, I was actually pushing hard with my work to make sure that I could prove to my parents that I didn't need university to get to a good level of success. So personally, what I did was, I went to uni for a bit, but I was working hard. I got quite a few promotions, and so that really helped me prove to my parents that, look, there's a more viable option for me if I actually work full time rather than going to uni. And that really helped them realize that, okay, look, he can stop. And so I stopped. I quit uni, and now I work in the APS. I also do music as well. And I've had a decent level of success in both. And that's because I was able to plan. I knew what I wanted to do. Ben, what about you?
Well, I struggled very quickly because I hated school anyway. So I just, for my last 2-3 years, and Dad can vouch, was I just didn't want to go to school. So I didn't even think about life after school because I was just avoiding it at that time. And then it took me, like I mentioned in the first one as well, different jobs, different avenues to find out what I really wanted to do. And the hardest part of it all was the friendship groups that you had, because you were seeing them every day. That was why you were friends, because you were seeing them every day. And then you'd move school, or you'd finish school and you'd go to different work. You'd do all these different things, and you'd realize you're not as close with those people as you think. And I thought that was the hardest part of it all. To getting jobs and losing jobs and whatever was a different aspect. That for me was the hardest part. Was thinking all my closest friends were going to be with me ride or die till the end, and fairy tale lifestyle. But at the end of the day, that wasn't. And that was the hardest part of dealing with it. And then I joined a different football team as well and made new friends through that. And that's when I realized it actually wasn't school-based. It was school-based friendships. And that outside of that, it was all about me, in a way. I had to figure that out. I had to figure out what I wanted to do, because I knew I'd also create new friends doing that. Through my football, through my Muay Thai, through my 55, 60 jobs. It's all that.
No, I clocked on late to that. I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, true. He's not even joking.
Beaming with pride.
But that, he's a prideful idiot. I was talking to him the other day, and he was telling me something stupid he's done. He's like, yeah, but I'm open about it. I'm like, that doesn't make
sometimes I think called safe storytelling, I think. But
yeah. This guy has no. Yeah, but I'm honest about it. I'm open about it.
How I am,
right,
though.
okay.
I've made
keep doing
dumb
it,
decisions, and I'm like, look, it is.
But what you touched on goes into another question that we have, which is dealing with abandonment, and that's kind of what you brought up as well. Which, it does happen a lot when you finish school. You realize that you're not that same guy that you thought you were at school, no matter how popular or not popular you are. You really have to go out into the real world, and then you start losing a lot of friends and connections and other things because life gets in the way, and people are trying to do different things with their lives. So how did you deal with that, Ben?
I think I didn't do it very well. Thinking back,
Are you, Ben?
I think, but I mean, reflecting back, I think there was times when I behaved badly. There was times when I behaved badly to people that cared about me. I think I was quite reactive at times. There was times when I was really, happy. There was other times when, I was really flat. And at that time, I think it was always very hard to open up and have discussions about that from my own experiences because of things in my own life, but also for the sort of the stigma of that's always been associated with, in some respects, being, in that male domain, that sort of very historic sort of male domain of feelings and emotions. But I think what happens is that you sort of start learning to change. I think there's and this is what I know now. It's not what I knew then, and I think this is probably for me answering these questions is trying to put things across to people in a way that sometimes stuff's just okay. Like there's a guy called he died a little while ago called Dr. Abraham Tversky.
Good pronunciation.
Yeah, I'm pretty good on that. But and for me, this sums up a lot of the challenges. Yeah, and he tells a story of the lobster. Yeah. Now, lobsters, when they grow, their shell gets too small for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So they respond to this discomfort. Yeah. So they go and hide for a while, and the shell comes off, and at that point they're really, really vulnerable. Yeah. So they're really vulnerable. But the shell then grows back, and they grow back bigger, and this is a repeated thing. So they accept that the discomfort is part of their growth. Yeah. And through that growth, there's periods of vulnerability. And what he's putting across with that is that at times we're never really taught to sit with discomfort, and sometimes discomfort's okay. It's about a sign of growth. It's when things aren't going okay. It's they're only thoughts and they're only feelings, and sometimes you have to sit in that space in order to grow. And we spend a lot of time distracting ourselves. Yeah, we everything we do is often distraction, and it. But what are we distracting from? We're distracting from the time that we're supposed to spend with ourselves. Now, the question about that is, if we're unable to sit with ourselves, is that because we probably don't like ourselves that much? Because we don't sit in that space where we have to challenge ourselves and reflect and change and grow. And that's the challenge for everybody, and it's uncomfortable and it's challenging. But when we do sit there, we grow and we reflect, and we find out some really cool things about the world around us. Like, actually, is this a group that I actually really connect with? And in reality, sometimes the question is no. Well, it hurts when you separate yourself from that group. Change hurts.
Yeah.
But it's perception. And people need to sit with that a little bit more, and in order to grow into the who they're going to be, not necessarily the who they plan to be, but sometimes it's growing into who you're going to be. You've sometimes got to change the plan of what you thought you were going to be. So, and I'd urge anybody to learn to sit in that space and just be okay. Sometimes it's okay not to feel great. It's okay sometimes to feel a little bit lonely. It's okay to feel a little bit lost. It's okay to feel as though you don't fit, because sitting in that space makes you more authentic, and as you move on, that develops your own self-esteem, your own authenticity, and you know what? It makes life better, and so just accept that sometimes we have to sit with discomfort, and through that we grow. And I suppose that's one of the key things I wish I'd known then that I know now, that I'm telling you now. I don't know.
So we can take that forward. No, that's good. That's really powerful. That's what Kieran was actually touching on in the last episode as well, on that idea that time heals. So as you were talking about with the shell, they're most vulnerable, and they're feeling uncomfortable. And one thing that's really stuck with me is the quote, "Get comfortable with being uncomfortable."
Yeah.
I think for me it was easier because when I was living in England, I was moving every 3 years. So I was quite used to post-school life, even before I knew what post-school life was, in terms of being on my own in a new area, having to start again, etc., etc. And even straight after I finished high school in Sydney, I moved to Canberra and had to start all over again. So I've really been able to, as you were touching on as well, take time to just be by myself. And it's actually a good thing, abandonment, in a sense, because you get to learn yourself, you get to spend time with yourself, and that's time that you actually need to develop. Once you, as Paul was saying, once you become comfortable with being uncomfortable, that's where you can see the most change in your life. Everybody has a massive ability. Everybody has a massive ability, whether it be it sport, music, communication, and obviously these abilities are scaled differently. Athletes get paid a lot more than people that work public service jobs, etc., etc. Supply and demand is a factor. and also, there are a lot of other factors as well. But if you can understand who you are and take that time to understand who you are, then when you are now utilizing your skill, you can now use that a lot more powerfully, because all right, this is what I can do, this is what I'm about. And that becomes your shield and your buffer. As we were talking about in the last episode, that becomes your shield and your buffer, to where you're now not affected by external validation, etc., that you used to be when you were younger, because you've now spent that time to grow your own shield, to really know yourself. And so you know what you're about, and you're no longer about proving yourself to other people.
And you're not running
you're
around
now
looking for friendships, because
you're
so confident and comfortable with being yourself that
yeah
you don't need to go hang out with 6-7 different people every day, different week, whatever. You can literally sit at home and chill by yourself, just watch videos on YouTube, and you're just comfortable doing that because you like your own company. Like you say all the time, because you know what you're about. And that's what you've said to me this whole time, which has really helped, is you're comfortable doing your own thing. And if you get judged for it, cool. It doesn't impact you because you're happy doing that. And that's something that stayed with me. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And everything Dad said is pretty much what I was going to say. Like, yeah.
But I think, listening to you talk, I think the other side of that is understanding that that feelings, I feel it. Feelings are hugely powerful things, but it's often how we behave that gets us into trouble in response to those feelings, because the feelings make us uncomfortable. So therefore, we distract ourselves from, whether it be drinking, whether it be going out and behaving badly, or drugs, or gambling, or
even just binge watching TV shows, etc. Doesn't even have to be super. And that's what people don't realize. Sometimes it's not super harmful in terms of physical harm or whatever, but even going for excessive walks, like, things need to be done in moderation, right? So all these bad habits that we build up as distractions are exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And all of that, like you've just said, everything in moderation as well. And a lot of people, when they're struggling, will find a new TV show and just binge it and binge it and binge it, because it's an escape from what they're going through as well. And reacting rationally or emotionally and using logic is very difficult to do at such a young age as well, and it takes time to do that. And so it's taken me the past 6 to 8 months to kind of go, right, I need to take emotion out of every single thing and look at this logically. What is best for me? What is best for the people around me? And then I put emotion into it, and it just dictates the whole thing as well. But sometimes emotion does override, and there's a time and a place for that as well.
I just got a bit emotional there. I got real excited. Sorry, Paul, I cut you off. But I got excited about what you were saying. I was like, this guy's hitting the nail on the head. But yeah, if you can go back to your trend of thought, that'd be awesome, because I'm keen to let you finish.
At some point, I was listening. I was just absorbing everything that was going on there.
Sorry about that.
He's never been around two young people full of promise and wisdom, and he still hasn't.
No, I think that listening to what you're both saying, that that it's again about accepting that our behaviors are the things that sort of other people see. So like the difference, one of the huge differences right now that's pressure for young people, that we never had. We didn't have like the social media stuff that you guys have, and social media can be great. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think there's some great things about it, but I also think there's so many challenges in that space. In the fact that people can be sort of bullied and or create sort of their own sort of false identities within that, because they want to present in a certain way, which then hides how they're really feeling. And the problem with that is that often people then take that at face value. People are doing this and they're doing this and they're doing this, so therefore I must be inferior. And sometimes it actually, do you know what? You're not, because each and every every person is hugely valuable. And you come back to that sort of, I think what you were saying about sort of capability and choice with regards to what you want to do, as you transition through those years into sort of work or travel or whatever. It's about this sort of feeling that expectation of what others expect of me, and that again becomes that you become defined by the what you do and how other people see you. And some of that's about people can be hugely capable. Sometimes their capacity is impacted at times through life. Life can be tough, or relationships don't always go to plan, or work doesn't always go to plan. So sometimes the question, when you see people and you see your friends and you see the people that you're around, and sometimes you see their capability drop off a little bit. It's not because suddenly they become bad at what they do. Sometimes it's their capacity that's impacted, and the question is actually opening that conversation then and saying, are you actually okay? Because what's going on? Because this isn't like you, and that's sort of building that support network, and then people don't feel the need to present in a way that takes away that sort of self-discomfort. Because if I post this on Facebook, then everybody will think I'm really cool, I'm happy, and everything's going well, when in reality, that's maybe not the case. We didn't have that. You've got it in abundance now, like if we had a little pocket camera, like that we had to go and get them developed, and, and it was a real pain. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it certainly solved the problem of any sort of, long-term incriminating photographs, perhaps, but
no, we're in a difficult space in today's day and age. We live in a world as well today where we're taught to validate other people's emotions despite how it makes us feel, which is really confusing, I think, for a lot of people, because
but
we're in a time,
they're not your feelings to feel.
Exactly.
You need to sit in that space and walk alongside somebody. I think people sometimes people forget that when you're supporting somebody, you walk alongside them. It's not your journey to walk in their footsteps, because that's their journey, but your journey is to walk beside them and just support them through those times, and those dips in capability, or those dips in health, or mental well-being, and but we walk alongside each other to do that. Not necessarily, we don't have to fix it. It's not our role to fix it, because it's not. You have to support or create a space that makes somebody feel safe to be able to, work through those things themselves. Not, we have to get away from that concept of fixing things. We don't fix, we nurture, we support, we enable. And that's what we should be looking at.
That's an amazing point, and that's something I've actually been thinking about a lot recently. The power of not forcing things, the power of not trying to fix things. It's actually crazy, because if you want to get to sleep and you focus on trying to sleep, you're not going to sleep. But if you lie in bed and you just slow your breathing, relax, calm down, you'll drift off to sleep.
Or if you want to till 4 o'clock in the morning like you do, and then you just fall asleep anyway.
It gets hot sometimes, Ben. I can't sleep when it's hot.
There's the excuses. Here we go. Come on.
Nah, that's a fact. But okay, I have trouble sleeping. That's a personal issue. Let's not bring that up now.
Sorry, talk to me later, Emeka. It's fine.
Yeah, well, can stay on the line after we get Ben off. No, but in life, so for example, even in a relationship, if you give your relationship some time and space, but still remain respectful, still keep your boundaries, etc., but allow the other person to express how they feel, and then come back with how you feel in a respectful way as well, that will do a lot better to restore things. But if you keep, if you've just had an argument and you stay in that same room and keep arguing, it's more likely that relationship will crumble. So sometimes we need to just calm down, you know, and just allow things to happen, allow life to happen, rather than trying to fix everything, as you were saying. And we need to, let other people feel what they want to feel. You know, it's crazy because, and this is actually a great point for men as well. It's tough to be a guy in today's world because we're told to believe this and we're told to believe that. The irony is that men who stick to what they believe get rewarded more than men who don't. But for the weaker men, there's a societal push for people to all believe one thing. And I don't think, I'm not sure, but I personally believe there's never been a push as great as now to have society conform to one belief, with COVID, with gender, with the pay gap, etc., etc. I'm not saying I have a stance either way. I'm just saying there's a massive push societally to get us all on one page. And this is what Kieran was talking about last episode as well. You're allowed to have a different opinion. It doesn't make it right or wrong, but we need to let other people have different opinions.
How you show your opinion. And that's what he was saying as well.
Exactly. That's another great point as well. It comes
if you, again, fight it with emotion, and you're going, well, why can't they do this? Or why don't you believe in this? Just sit down and go, well, why don't you believe in that? Can you tell me your side of, like, your opinion? Can you tell me this? I'm curious about what you're thinking. Their reaction, instead of getting heightened, will come back to a level playing field. It's a conversation, not an argument. And everybody nowadays just want to turn everything into an argument because they feel like if their passion is high, they're going to win the argument, or they want people to agree with them because they're scared of being wrong. And that's okay being wrong or having a different opinion. Right? It's fine.
The people who are elite at what they do are opinionated. We have to realize that. Like, even if you want to say they don't have an opinion on race or gender or religion, they have an opinion on themselves at the bare minimum, right? They have to believe that they are the best solution in order to perform at the elite level that they perform. If they're having doubts about who they are, pardon?
Depends who you're talking about, I suppose.
You use a whole different case. You need to believe in yourself more, Paul. That's what you need to do.
I think self-belief. I mean, going back to what you were originally saying, I think with regards to people, the one thing that makes humans different, right, is the power of independent thought. Yeah. The thing that's often that I see that's often missing is the capacity or the ability for critical self-reflection. Yeah. Within the context of other people's views. Yeah. Now, we get tied up, and I think you're right in the fact that society sort of dictates what we believe we should think, and believe that we maybe shouldn't think, or this is right or this is wrong, depending on our belief systems. Yeah. That what we need to look at is how we critically reflect and challenge those belief systems, because that's how we grow and that's how we learn, and that's how we become more tolerant, is reflecting on other people's experiences, other people's beliefs, and being able to sit with that as well. You know, like, well, actually, I can take a lot of those things on board, and again, that's how we increase our own tolerance, but our own growth, and you know, again, is it that word wisdom that we're aiming to achieve? You know, in some cultures, wisdom is achieved by that sort of self and critical self-reflection and growth and knowledge that comes through that period. And I know some young people who are hugely wise. I know some people at 50 and 60 are nowhere near as wise as some of the young people I've worked with that are, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, because of the experiences and the life experiences that they've had thrown at them. And the problem often with society is that we minimize the benefit of that to us all, is the fact that, you know, somebody young can't be wise. Well, yeah. I'm going to tell you, I know an awful lot of very, very wise young people that have had a journey that, you know, is both incredible and humbling to all of us. And we need to open up and accept that, and critically reflect and challenge our own beliefs. Just because somebody thinks differently doesn't mean to say it's wrong. What it means is that actually I just need to broaden my understanding of that and increase my knowledge. Then I can make an informed choice. I'm okay with that.
Like, if we all believed in the same thing, we all perceive the world as black and white, like, it's so boring. Like, I'm not going to go on a tangent about that, because I genuinely believe, though, that having different beliefs, different ideas is what is making the world a better place. But also at the same time, there's a way to show your beliefs and your ideas to benefit everybody, rather than just causing wars and struggles and dilemmas like that.
Doesn't that sort of what you're just saying there, and we live in this sort of we wander around, like we talk about sort of extremes, so like as you were saying, so black and white, but we live in these sort of this fundamentally grey space, but however, I've spent a lot of time with people, and sometimes just standing back and say, do you know what, in a world that's actually fundamentally different shades of grey, sometimes, you know what, it's great to bring in some colour.
The world is 50 shades.
And that's why I love people who are, sometimes are that little bit different, that think differently, that, see the world through a different lens. How cool is that? Because, that they bring a colour to the world that, is often missing, so, and that's authentic, and that's what I'm saying about authenticity. Be you, be authentic, find that path to being okay with who you are. And once you're okay with who you are, then you're in a position to reflect and critically reflect, and, and that leads to that process of authenticity. And the one thing that we need to be is authentic and true to ourselves. And once we're there, as long as we're kind and we treat people with kindness and we treat people with love, then, there's always hope. There's always hope that comes out of that. And, and that's probably the most beautiful thing in the world, is the fact that through kindness and love and hope, we create change. And
we don't need to believe the same, but we do need to respect one another.
Yeah.
With that, we'll go to our last question for today. It's kind of two questions mixed into one. So the first part of it is being a man in a relationship. And the second part of it is from a female standpoint. Obviously, we're not females, but a female has asked this question. How do we, as guys, how are we encouraged to open up to women?
I mean, we spoke a little bit about this off air, and again, this is about love, some of it's about love, and asking, love is about the option to care for another without desire to get back. It's and the there's, again, I think it's Abraham Tversky again sort of talks about fish love and real love.
This man loves his seafood. Unbelievable.
There's a seafood thing going on with him, wasn't there? It's a very, very smart guy, but he talks about the fact that he meets a guy walking down the road who's just been fishing, and he says, how are you doing? He said, I've just been fishing. He said, I love this fish. And he said, oh, you love the fish? So that's good. He said, oh, so you've just thrown your line in the water, you've pulled it out of its environment and its surroundings, now you're going to bash it on the head and eat it.
that took a turn.
And he's done. That was all he had to say.
And we'll sign off now, guys. Thanks for joining us on episode 3.
But again, what he's saying is that actually you don't love the fish. You actually love yourself. Because
you love what the fish does for you.
Yeah. And so he said, but the concept of sort of, love in the next context is the fact that, you love because it feels safe and it feels reciprocated. And the person you love, you want the best for them, So So moving on from that sort of space is that creating a safe space and making each other feel valid and making each other feel heard are really, really crucial things. Not forcing the issue and not just expecting that, we're together, so therefore you're going to talk. It's about creating a space where the person feels safe enough to open up. And when that happens, it's actually validating that and saying, actually, it's okay. We all might have experiences that sort of think, oh, well, you're telling me this and that happened to you. Well, let me tell you what happened to me. And we minimize other people's experiences and feelings. And, people have to feel safe. And if you create a safe space within that relationship and it's respectful and it's okay to feel vulnerable, going back to the lobsters, back to seafood, isn't it? That you have to create a space where it's okay for somebody to feel vulnerable in order for them to go through that process of change. And, when you love somebody, you provide that space. It's okay.
I think it's also scary that he says that he loves fish, but he can be so damaging to the fish. But that's the thing that happens with humans as well. Sometimes people feel like they love something and they love it so much that they're really trying to get so much out of it that they end up taking harmful actions towards that other thing, which
to the whole process of love.
Yeah. And then sometimes people even stay in that situation as well because they feel like, no, this is love, which is another crazy.
It's a false idea of the word love because they see the narrative on movies or TV shows and they go, that's the perfect love. But then they've stayed in a relationship where it's nothing like that, but they've invested 3 or 4 years.
I feel I have to stay.
And it's the time thing that I was talking about in the last episode, is that you've invested so much time into something, so you don't want to throw it away because then it's a waste. Well, it's never a waste. It's a learning opportunity. It's being accepting that things change, being able to adapt and grow and develop.
I think for a man, there are two important aspects in relationship. One is attachment and two is gender roles. Obviously gender roles comes with the expectations of what a woman expects a man to be and what a man expects a woman to be. Now, that's more of, when you're younger, but when you get older, you realize that you are allowed to be whatever you want to be and your partner is allowed to be whatever she wants to be or he wants to be. Right. So what happens is when you are talking to this person, when you are getting to know this person, one of the things you need to get to know is what are they expecting from you and what are you expecting from them? If you can have that discussion before you enter in a proper relationship, your relationship will go a lot smoother. But if you go into that relationship expecting them to be something based on your life experiences and expecting them and they're expecting you to be something based on their life experiences, it's going to be a lot more difficult. You really have to try and communicate how you feel, what you expect and what you're used to and come to a balance that works for the both of you. So generally men like to lead, but not all men like to lead. I have a friend, his parents, his mum is the person who is in control of everything in a large way, and his dad is the stay-at-home dad, doesn't do much, etc., etc. And he enjoys that and he likes being led. And that relationship dynamic works because they've come to that agreement. But if you get into a new relationship and you turn out to be a guy that likes to be laid back and you like your woman to lead, but your woman is looking for you to lead, there's going to be problems.
Crossroads, isn't it?
Yeah, we're young, so I think we really have to take our time. I really think, and this is what I talk to Ben a lot about as well, is at this age, there is no pressure on us to be in relationships. There's absolutely no pressure. So really take your time and get to know people and get to know, is this someone you would consider spending the rest of your life with? Like that's a massive question, and that's a massive commitment. So there's no rush at all. Really get to understand what is this person bringing to the table, but first you have to understand what you bring to the table. And we really need to make sure that before we have expectations of other people, that we have our house in order first, so we actually know, okay, this is what I offer to this person. Because there are different things that people bring in relationships. Some guys bring finances. I'm not saying that women don't bring finances. I'm not saying that women don't bring emotional support or whatever. What I'm saying is that one person is going to bring more of one thing and the other person is going to bring more of another. So the woman might bring more finances and the guy might bring less finances. They're both bringing in finances, but obviously somebody's bringing more. That, you know, we look for equality and we look for perfect balance, but there is no perfect equality in a relationship. You're never going to bring exactly the same things. And that's actually what makes a relationship better and stronger, is you can play to somebody's strengths. So the things that I'm not good at, for example, we might be going to get a dinner and I might not be the most social person. Guess what? Guess who's going to be making me look good? My wife, who's talking to everybody, you know, making them feel welcome, etc., etc. And I might not be the most social person, so she can help bring me out of my shell. And you can learn from that person. You can learn so much.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, what is it that I'm helping this person with? So when you know your value and what you're bringing to that person, and when you know the value that you're looking for, and you've had those key discussions, I think that makes it a lot easier. But as Paul was saying as well, you really do also need to allow time to build safe spaces, to build places where people feel comfortable being themselves, and don't pressure it. Just allow it to happen, and that will happen with time. When things feel right, they'll feel right. And the thing is, when you're younger, they tend to feel right a whole lot faster because you get very excited and it's all new and it's all shiny, you know. But once you kind of just repress those initial emotions and just calm down and keep digging away at it, being consistent, etc., because you're not going to stay together for 50, 60 years just with love. It's not going to happen. What you're going to stay together with is commitment, faithfulness, loyalty, honesty, etc., and you're going to build those foundations together from your first date, and you're going to build it up and keep working away at it, and it's going to take some time.
Love's a result of all of that as well. You do meet somebody and you kind of go, oh, love at first sight, and you have that spark, so to say, as well. But then once you actually truly get to know them, you understand they're faithful, or they love the same football team as you and stuff, and that you have a common interest where you can always go and do that. Or there's so many different variations of stuff. That's when you sit down and go, yeah, okay, this is different. And I feel a different way now. Because of all those factors, it's a steady growth as well. So, it's my opinion on that, and I think you hit the nail on the head, everything, pretty much.
Paul?
I think that, I mean, look, listening to you both talk, but I think that change, adjustment in relationships, being, you know, the moment's important, yeah? So explore the moment, explore what each other enjoys, how they communicate, how they, you know, their worries, their fears, you know, like learn, you know, be patient and learn about each other. I think that the thing is that change doesn't stop. Yeah, as a person, as an individual, you know, we constantly go through periods of our life where, you know, the experiences changes. You know, we don't all have the same linear experience, in the sense that events occur at different times and they impact us and they change us. It's okay to change through that process. Part of being with somebody is accepting those changes and being okay with those changes. But it's also okay in relationships to actually stand back and go, actually, do you know what? You know, this isn't working. And I think that the one thing that I think I wish I'd known, that I'm probably more aware of now, is that as we go through life, we're never really, there's no lesson in life, right, that teaches us to appropriately disengage from relationships that make us uncomfortable, or relationships that are no longer fulfilling, because we invest time, we invest emotion, we invest those things. But when we're kids, we're told that actually we don't want to hurt people. We don't. Well, actually, sometimes it's hurting you, and sometimes you have to, you know, work through that process and accept that sometimes that is part of that journey, and there's a natural progression, a natural end to those relations, whether it be a partnership relationship, whether it be a friendship, whether it be a group. Sometimes you've got to learn that, and I think that when I was young, I didn't have that. I certainly didn't have that skill, and it created probably a lot more pain and bad behavior. We behave badly because we don't know how to have that conversation. That conversation is scary, but you know what? Sometimes we need to learn to have that conversation, and it's going to hurt, and it hurts you, and it hurt. It's okay, but it's okay to hurt because that's part of going back to being the lobster. Sometimes we're vulnerable, sometimes we hurt, we sit with discomfort, but that's an experience, and that's how we grow, and then we move on, and and that can happen at any time. Some people are wonderfully lucky and have long, fruitful, fantastic, wonderful relationships. Some people have shorter relationships that are equally fantastic and wonderful. People have other relationships that aren't.
Mm.
But we need to develop those skills from being young, that actually it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, actually, this isn't working, but that's okay too. So yeah, so I think we got really off the track of the question, didn't we, actually?
No, I don't
I
think
was
so.
thinking then what was the question, but yeah, carry on, guys.
It was about men in relationships, and then how do we encourage guys to open up to females in relationships?
I think generally it's about creating a space that's both respectful, that's equitable, that doesn't minimize the experience of the other, that is open. That you have that open dialogue and you talk to each other, and you learn, through spending time together, actually, when things aren't okay, and you create a space to talk about that. And from a guy's point of view, that, do you know what, guys, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have that conversation. It's not, let's get away from this sort of stereotypical thing of being emotionally strong. Well, the biggest part of emotional strength is actually being able to open up and tell your story and say, actually, I'm not doing too good. Because you'll find people who walk with you. If you close up and you don't, you push people away. So talk, tell your story. It's okay.
Our first step is the hardest part. Is just saying, yeah, I'm struggling. And a lot of people, I can literally say 99.9% will say, what's going on? What can I do? And then if you just say, do you want to go for a coffee? Or you just tell them something, or you just say, I'm not too sure. Do you just want to hang out? And they say, yeah, all right, we don't even have to talk about it. It's that first step. That first step is key. That's with everything as well. So just make sure. I'm saying this as somebody who used to bottle up a lot. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to have this hard conversation.
For sure.
But have it.
For sure.
But sometimes it's okay just being there and saying nothing.
Exactly.
Being comfortable with nothing.
For sure.
Because that's a really, really powerful place to be as a couple. Is actually being comfortable with
silence.
Yeah. Silence and just being there. But outside that, I think we all bring a whole host of experiences and reference points and events in our life, and sometimes they can be a little bit jumbled up, and sometimes we don't recognize the feelings that we're having, and we fight those feelings, and and that's what I said. Learn to make space for you, and learn to create that space where you're okay with what you feel, and manage the behavior associated with that, because that's what potentially hurts us. The feeling doesn't, and if we learn to manage that, then it'll make us a lot healthier, and our well-being will be better. And yeah. So
that's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all we have time for today. But thank you guys for listening, and enjoy your Christmas and New Year's. We'll catch you in the new year. It's going to be a good 2022 for us and for you, Ben.
I think, that's pretty much everything, guys. Thank you again. I say it every time already. Thanks for the ongoing support. again, if you guys want us to talk about anything, please let us know. You've got our Instagram, you've got our TikTok bloopers to have a watch, so keep an eye out on that. And just email us with any questions as well, and keep being engaged with us. We like it, we enjoy it, and makes us feel like we're helping everyone around us. So, thank you.
Thanks also, Ben, for volunteering your dad. Cheers, Paul. Nah, Paul wanted to come on, and we thought it would be a good idea to have him on.
He's been asking every day, oh, when's it my turn? Like, I need to get my name out.
It's quite the opposite. I think you'll find it was quite the opposite. That I think the podcast with Kieran was really good, and there's a lot of insights in that. So I'm around, and people want to talk, man. Let's talk. That's the key thing. And everybody enjoy the holidays, enjoy the moment, but just be kind.
Enjoy
and
it.
Just
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nah, thanks for coming on.
Other,
We appreciate
please.
it, and we'll definitely have to get you on
All right.
again in the future. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you.
I think he's actually going to
Thank you.
Yo, free, like, what the hell, man?